Hi everybody, it's Tim at Broken Dice. This is my second video of my solo wargaming campaign between the Romans and the Iberian tribes. This is a battle of conquest. In the first battle, the Romans were successful, and let's get on into this video. All right, let's talk about setups and objectives for the Romans and the Iberians for this ambush scenario. All right, in the last video, the Romans had subdued the Cessetani territory, which is a small territory covered up by that red arrow. The red arrow on the map just shows the direction of travel by the Roman forces. They have set their sights on the IIcavones territory. The Romans are marching south along the coast and are faced with several river crossings. The local tribes, as I've described in previous videos, what I use is diplomacy ratings to see how many extra forces may be deployed by the Iberians if they are successful in acquiring aid from surrounding tribes. But in this battle, they were unsuccessful, and I have written old grudges run deep in Iberia. All right, let's talk about objectives here for the Romans. Their objective in being ambushed is not to lose an infantry or cavalry units. Light skirmishing units don't count towards this, and their other objective is to kill the enemy commander. All lost units will not be replaced before the next battle. So the next battle, whatever the Romans lose in this scenario will carry over. For the Iberians, they need to destroy one cohort or one cavalry unit or two cohorts to achieve victory. And most importantly, they need to keep their commander alive. If killed, that commander is replaced for the rest of the campaign with a commander of a -1 command rating. So if he's an 8 at this point in time. If he dies, he can only be replaced with a 7. So that could complicate things quite a bit for the Iberians. So as in all tribal cultures, those heroic sort of leaders, the people that they look for, you can look through many instances in history where once the leader was taken out, the real soul of the rebellion and the resistance is taken out, they normally would crumble. So it's very important for the Iberians to keep their commander and commanders alive. All right, here's just kind of a quick snapshot of the different army lists. You can peruse these, pause it, and look at them if you want. You're going to see them throughout the video anyway, but just, there you go. All right, let's look at the Roman deployment. Now, I've got a lot of stuff on these photos here, but I just want everybody to be able to see what's going on. On the left picture, we have at the end of the column a Roman cavalry unit, followed up going left to right with a unit of slingers. Then we got the 10th cohort, the 9th cohort, and the 8th cohort bringing up, and a commander of that division. So that division in and of itself consists of 3 cohorts, a slinger unit, and a unit of cavalry. And on the picture on the right, this is the central division. They have mostly completed crossing the bridge. One cohort, the 7th cohort, is on the bridge at the start of the game. So, and the lead division is off the table already. Imagine further to the right. And if they do come on, they have to come on basically like in marching order. They have to turn around and move back onto the table. But the only place really that's feasible to cross the river at this point in time is at this bridge. And this is why the Iberians have chosen this particular location to launch their ambush. Okay, let's take a look at the Iberian deployment. On the far left, we have a Scutari unit plus supports, which are small. All the supports are small units of Catrate, helping out the Scutari units. Next, from left to right, we have a Scutari unit with supports, and then Scutari unit 3 plus supports. Then we have 2 cavalry units. Iberian Cavalry 1, Iberian Cavalry 2, and for the life of me, I don't know why. That was a movement tray on IB Cavalry 1 that I used to bring them out of the cabinet and put them on the table. Why I left it on there in the photograph? Your guess is as good as mine. All right, Iberian orders phase. Well, the Iberian cavalry make it into combat. The Iberian infantry move within shooting range. So basically it was move forward, engage the enemy for the Iberian forces. All right, this gives you kind of a where the units are in relationship to other units. All right, so let's take a look what's going on here. So we've got, oh, turn my page over. Yeah. All right, we've got the orders phase done. They've charged in the Iberians. They've got within shooting distance. So in shooting, they were able to do like to the 10th cohort, they did 1 point of damage. To the 9th, they did 1 point of damage. But to the 8th cohort, they rolled 6. So they had to roll on take a break test, and they became disordered from shooting. I think this is kind of significant in the game. The odds of it are, the odds, 1 in 6. So I didn't think this would happen. It rarely happens for me when I'm playing either against a human opponent or solo games. I rarely roll 6s in my shooting, and it's usually a non-issue for the most part of the game. But every once in a while, something like this does happen. So the 8th cohort is now disordered. The Roman cavalry at the end of the column to the far left in the picture have turned to face the charge because they were not engaged. So as a cavalry unit, they can turn to face the charge. Now, the Iberian cavalry, they win the combat, they push the Roman cavalry back, and they become disordered. I really didn't expect that sort of a result that quickly. Normally in these cavalry engagements, especially if anybody's seen the first video and some of my other videos I do with solo wargaming, a lot of times that cavalry, it just turns into some sort of slogging match, and that's what's happened here. I just really quickly pushed them back to the edge of the table, and they became disordered. All right, Rome's order phase. Well, the Romans, they got to get engaged. Well, the 8th cohort that isn't disordered, they cannot have orders given to them. The 9th and 10th are given orders along with the supporting slingers to turn and charge the enemy. The 9th and 10th cohorts actually get in. I'm just amazed by this. This is I'm counting my units as standard size units, and on what they just were able to do like 1 bit of damage to each of these lightly armed and armored Scutari units and their supports. It was amazing to me. I thought, wow, how bad of a rolling outing can that be? But yeah, it was like 2 hits out of 7, and then the Iberians would save 1 and 1 would get through, and it's just amazing. But on the far left, we see that the Roman cavalry have been destroyed in their turn. They had to take a break test. They lost the combat, took a break test, and we'll say they fled the field like was historically accurate. The Roman commander at the end of this moves up to join the 9th cohort, hopefully to, in the next turn, add a little combat punch and hopefully turn the tide. Yeah, it didn't turn out well for the Romans at this point in time. As you can see here, this is at the end of turn 1. The Iberians have destroyed a cavalry unit, so they're halfway there to meeting their objectives. The Romans, with a subpar combat phase, have now got themselves in a very bad position. They've been flanked. But on the right side of the photograph, you can see where in the orders phase, this is something I didn't mention in the order phase. I always do this when I'm kind of doing something like this, so I have to watch myself. The central division that is off to the right on the other side of the bridge passed its order test by 1 and were able to turn about and make one move towards this side of the bridge. So that C7 represents cohort number 7 coming off the bridge. At the end of the turn, cohort 8 recovers from its disorder and because of proximity turns to face the enemy. As I mentioned earlier, damage was very lightly dealt by the Romans. We'll see next turn, but as you can tell, with the flank turned, it's all going to come down to the 10th cohort being able to hold until help arrives. Because I didn't really think that the Roman cavalry would break so quickly. I didn't know that the Romans would perform so poorly in the combat phase. So they're really going to be able to take it on the chin here if they're not going to be able to hold out. It may end in turn 2 fairly quickly because they won't be able to break these units fast enough to protect one of their own cohorts from being destroyed. And once their objectives are achieved, then they can flee the table. So we will see in the next turn. Well, this is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy kind of following on and seeing the methods of my madness and the way I put things together. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, let me know why. Let me know what you would rather see. Or I know a lot of people, they do these live where they just put a camera up and they show them rolling the dice and moving the units and all that kind of stuff. I find it a little distracting for me, and I really don't think that's kind of what I would be very good at anyway. I like being able to take photos and think about how I want to present the material. But anyway, turn 2's coming up. Like I said, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below, positive or negative. I mean, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.